Hello, B1 family, and welcome back to the YouTube channel, The Big Black American Secret. My name is Daniel Jackson, and I am your host. Today, I want to talk to you about a few things that I've discovered, or not discovered, but that I've bumped into, and to point out how it is used to further hide the Black American's true identity. The name of this YouTube channel is called The Big Black American Secret. And the secret is you are an Aboriginal American. You are not the descendants of West African slaves. And I'm going to prove that to you in this video, as I do in all of my videos, with little bits and pieces of factual, historical information. And I urge you to follow up behind me, do your own research. The one thing most Black people can do to quickly go to point A to Z as far as your identity is to talk to your oldest living relatives. Probably some folks you ain't talked to in years. Just simply, once you start to get an idea of what people like me are starting to say, and you're getting a sense that something's going on, there may be some truth to what we're talking about. And you want to look up your own family history and heritage. That being said, what I'm going to do first before I get into this, because I come across an old magazine that was printed in the 50s that's going to show you something, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me read the goal of this channel. The goal of this channel is to build an unstoppable army of knowledgeable Black melanated people in America and around the world that understand that we as melanated people have one enemy worldwide. And that enemy is a system of racism, white supremacy. Our mission through education is to replace this evil system with the system of freedom, justice, and equality as laid out by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. We will need your help in building this knowledgeable army. You can help by subscribing to this channel, by donating to this cause through Cash App or PayPal, and by sharing the videos you watch here and any knowledge that is shared. In doing so together, we help fertilize the mentally enslaved, colonized minds of Black melanated people worldwide, creating the perfect mental conditions for our children to grow up in a better, more balanced world. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's video will be in the description. The PayPal, Cash App information will also be in the description. I do teach. That information will also be in the description. But like I mentioned earlier, to quickly learn about your family's lineage and heritage, talk to your oldest living relatives. Not just one of them, not just two of them. Talk to all of them. The reason I say that is some of them may know something, some of them may not. This is what I discovered in my own family. My oldest living relatives knew just about everything. The youngest ones didn't. And I was confused as to why, but my auntie explained to me why. And that's in another video. I'm not going to talk about that here, but subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and hit all to be notified when I go live or make another video. So I'm going to take a few seconds and make an illustration. This illustration is going to show you 100% proof positive who you are as a Black American. This is a 1-cent copper penny. It's got Abraham Lincoln's face on it. You probably got 100 of them laying around your house. This 1-cent copper penny is damn near identical to the back of my hand, to my complexion. And again, it's made out of copper. So I'm going to direct your attention to the definition of American in the year 1828. The definition of American in the year 1828. This definition is so telling, so powerful, they have taken it from the internet. I made a copy of it months ago and put it on a zip drive because I knew they was gonna steal it, or I had a feeling that they probably would, because that's what this system of racism, white supremacy does. It hides information. It tries to misclassify things, and you have to be prepared for that. So I'm gonna pull up from my computer, if my computer stopped acting weird, the definition of American in the year 1828. Okay. And I'm going to turn this around so you can see what I'm reading. This is a picture out of the book, the Webster's Dictionary, in the year 1828. And it's blocked out. So I'm going to go down here and read the remainder of it. But it says, American, a native of America, right? Now, up here is an illustration that this person here, Sister Asha Yao, I can't pronounce that, but she probably put that in because she actually has this copywritten. This is asking you a silent question. It's saying, does this penny more so resemble the complexion of this person, who is a Black American? I think D from one of those sitcoms back in the day, What's Happening, I think it was. Or this person who is the child of supposedly an Indian, and I say supposedly for a reason I'll explain to you why, but this is technically an Eskimo, okay? But with this penny compares to whose skin color? This person or this person? And of course, it's D from that sitcom, right? So this is the 1828 definition of America from the Noah's Webster's Dictionary. It says, American, a noun, a native of America, originally applied to the aboriginals. That's the people who are original to this soil, much like the aboriginals in Australia, right? Or copper-colored races. Again, copper. That 1 cent copper penny is made from copper. Found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. This first part gives a description of the Aboriginal American as being brown-skinned people, copper-colored people. Black Americans are copper-colored. Now, the second part tells you why you've been going through hell on this continent. It says, American, but now applies to the descendants of Europeans born in America. What does that mean? American now applies to white people here in America. They have been stealing our very American identity, and they have used the Eskimo story. They have supplanted these people into our history books as the people they saw when they first came here, which is a false fallacy, and I'm going to prove that to you right now today as well. Okay. It is so crazy what we have discovered over the last couple of years. It's alarming and it's scary, but it's all some things that we can address and take care of, you know. So that being said, I'm going to hit you with a few other things, and then I'm going to get to the point. Now, again, I mentioned Eskimos. If you get a chance, look at your 2020 census. Inside your census, find where it says American Indian. American Indian, at the very bottom, that last part of it says Eskimo community. The Indians in our history book were supplanted on purpose as this nation's first people. Those people are foreign to this soil. Here's why. They migrated here from Asia. That's a Mongolian breed of Asian that traveled here crossing the land bridge called the Bering Straits. Leading paleontologists say, about 12,000 years ago. So therefore, those people aren't aboriginal to this landmass. They come from Asia. You understand what I'm saying? But when the Europeans came here, they saw millions of copper-colored, brown and black-skinned people. And then they saw a few, perhaps maybe 1,000, if that, of Eskimos that skirted the north. They weren't all over this continent. They were only up in the colder parts of the climate. This is in documented papers in books. In fact, it was spelled Eskimos. They were considered a tribe in the colder parts. That's why whenever you saw them, they were always had the skins on. You know what I'm saying? It was always in a colder climate. That's because that's where those people were. But anyway, the Europeans here saw that smaller group of people. So when they formulated this identity scheme that they came up with, they obviously was like, you know what, we're going to tell people that we saw those people here when we came, and all of these millions of black and brown people that are here, we're going to say we brought them people here from West Africa as slaves. All of this stuff is documented, but it's hidden in different places. This is why I teach. I teach a $49 course and $199 coaching class, which is personal. We meet 4 times. One day we meet for 1 hour through video conference, 1 day a week for 4 weeks. The $49 is videos only. It's the information that I obtained, and it's in a certain order that you can kind of just flow through it. It's got to be over 100 hours of videos, but easy to watch. Very, it's very impactful. But anyway, the people in our history books were put there in history books, Hollywood movies, cartoons, you name it. The system of racism, white supremacy, used a large propaganda campaign to put on our minds using movies like The Lone Ranger. You name it, they did it. Long story short, that the Eskimo was the American natives when they came here. Absolutely false. All the descriptions of people on this continent was consistent. So much so that description ended up in a dictionary in the year 1828. It says that the Aboriginals of America are copper colored. They look like you and I. They are you and I. We are the descendants of those Aboriginal people. Therefore, we are the Aboriginal people, not West African, not the descendants of West African slaves. The West African slave narrative is a racist construct to continue to steal your American identity, land, labor, and resources. If you do not become educated on who you truly are, that slave narrative, that West African slave narrative, will continue to rob your children of their not only identity, but their land, labor, resources, and inheritance here on this continent. You understand what I'm saying? It's very important that you take this subject very serious because it deals with you and your ownership of the dirt under your feet. It's very simple. But because of the system of racism, white supremacy, we are technically prisoners of war on our own land. Again, misclassified as West African slaves. The reason they want us to think we come from another place is because if you think you're from West Africa, you have no connection to this land. Mentally, you're just not connected to it. So therefore, you won't fight for it. You'll move like a slave. Simple. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, so I've just showed you the definition of American in the year 1828. And this definition is so powerful, they have scripted from the internet. That's how you know it's true. That's how you know 100% that it's 100% true and factual. If it wasn't, they wouldn't have touched it. You know what also they took off the internet? I used to share this in a couple of my videos. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and hit all. The transatlantic slave trade was the story told to us that they brought West African slaves here to the United States. Again, a lie. The slave trade here was not called the transatlantic slave trade. The slave trade from Europe to America was considered the transatlantic slave trade. They brought black Europeans from Europe to America and other parts. The slave trade here in the United States was called the International Indigenous American Slave Trade, which lasted from 1492 to the early 1920s. There were 94 documented Indian wars for the sole purpose of slave catching. Again, all of this I've talked about on other videos. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and hit all. Very important. I don't have time to go into any of that on this video because I want to point out something to you that I just come across. It just made a connection in my brain. But anyway, that being said, I know what I'm saying to you. If you're new to the channel, it's going to hurt your feelings because I'm attacking your identity. But you have to understand the identity that you hold dear and near to is a false identity. You will, over time, by studying and going through what you got to go through, it'll hurt less and less. You're going to go through the 5 stages of grief because that identity is going to die. But your new identity is going to grow, but it's not going to change or transfer the fact that you have to go through what you've got to go through. Let me see if I can remember the 5 stages of grief. Disbelief, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. You're going to go through those 5 stages of grief. I know this personally because I went through them, and it was comparable to when I lost my mother when she passed. I went through the same 5 stages of grief. I didn't know it at the time. Hell, it didn't dawn on me till I started doing this research, and I felt the same feelings to some extent, and I started doing some research. But yeah. What I'm telling you is absolutely 100% true. Not a whole lot of people talk about it right now because a lot of people are just starting to understand it. But it is 100% factual. Now I'm gonna turn this computer around, to turn my phone around to this computer because again, dealing with your identity, they want us to believe we're black, like the color of my shirt, right? Not copper colored, not brown skinned. Why is that? Because apparently all black people come from Africa. That's the lie. No, life did not start in Africa. That's a racist theory called the out of Africa theory. Supposedly all black people come out of Africa, and in Europe they got this Neanderthal gene. White people gave us those lies so that they can continue to control and have ownership of things that they should not own and have ownership of. Specifically speaking, Europe. Europe, like Africa and America, was full of black folks, black and brown folks. Absolutely true. Benjamin Franklin himself says this in a document that's in the National Archives. Again, I go over that document in my videos. Subscribe, watch my videos. Simple, right? And Benjamin Franklin is the guy on your $100 bill. He is what they call a founding father. He is an eyewitness account. And again, you do not get more as far as evidence go than an eyewitness account. Okay. Now, again, and I'm going to show you 2 things that's going to prove to you that you are a copper color, that you are a brown color. Now, you might be looking at me crazy because you might say, well, duh, I know I'm brown. I'm looking at myself in the mirror every day. Well, yeah, you see yourself in the mirror every day, but mentally, subconsciously, because you have a slave mentality, and whether you know it or not, we all have some inklings of slave in us because we're under the system of racism, white supremacy. I saw myself every day, not by the color of my skin, but by the definition of being a black man, the descendant of West African slaves, when all the while I'm an Aboriginal American from the dirt of this continent. See, there was no mass migration out of Africa. All life started on this planet in and about the same time. First you had plant life, and then you had mammal life, of course, because the mammals are going to eat the plants. You understand what I'm saying? And that happened on every continent in and about the same time. In fact, some of the oldest fossils are found right here in North America. They say dinosaur bones, woolly mammoths. So I ain't saying America is the oldest continent, but it definitely has some evidence of being a very old place, comparable to every place else. See, they don't allow digging down too deep in America, in Europe, because they know what you'll find, but they do approve digging in Africa. This is where they get the out of Africa theory. They found the jawbone of a Homo sapien in Ethiopia that supposedly dates back about 2.8 million years ago. Well, guess what? Again, they don't allow digging no place else that far down. And a Homo sapien ain't human. It's a monkey type creature that they say is a link between humans and monkeys. They want black people to think we came from monkeys and apes. Again, that is a racist fabrication and construct to make you think that you are a lesser being, when the whole time The whole time you are the superior being. Why do I say this? Because you're melanated. You are melanated. The sun gives us strength, energy, and vitamins. Vitamin D is one example. The sun gives Caucasians skin cancer. Think about it. White people are simply just a genetic defect of melanated people. These are people born with albinism. Now, and I'm going to say this part and get off of that because I wasn't planning on going in that direction. You can also go watch another video I got on that topic as well. But here's what took place in a nutshell. During the Ice Age, there was an overcast. And this overcast wasn't over the whole planet. No. It was over a small portion of Europe, Asia, up in that region. In that area, when two blue-black people gave birth to albinos, the Aboriginal people in those areas gave birth to albinos. Those babies, instead of dying off from skin cancer like they would normally do, they were allowed to grow and multiply over a period of 10,000 years. So their numbers increased. Over time, their woolly hair, which allowed heat to rise up off the body, start to lay down to keep the heat in. Their noses, instead of being broad like mine, became longer and narrower, smaller holes. To give that air time to heat up before it goes into the brain passage, to the brain. You see what I'm saying? So this is how the Caucasians were created. And I'm not only talking about the Caucasians, that small part of Europe, also talking about the Mongolian breed of Asian, you see. Because in Asia, the Asians look like us, but they had this phenotype like this. You know what I'm saying? People, the system of racism, white supremacy is so evil. It's so evil, and why it has to be destroyed, because it's all built on lies and deceit. Whatever they tell you, you automatically assume the opposite. Again, the lie of white supremacy is that white people are superior, genetically speaking. When the truth is just the opposite. They're a genetic defect. In fact, they're in negative birth rates right now. That's why they panicking. That's why they're trying to bring over a whole bunch of different foreign people, from different places. But anyway, I didn't mean to get too sidetracked, but obviously somebody probably needed to hear that. But anyway, you are technically a brown person. Our skin color ranges from very, very light-skinned, damn near white, to blue-black mahogany. But we're all just varying degrees of brown. Again, copper-colored, right? Now check this out. This is a magazine from let me see if I can get the year of this thing right. 1953, I think, but I just want to, check this out. This was a magazine published in Chicago in December 1953. Look at this title, Copper Romance. Let that sink in for a minute. Copper Romance. Let's see, here's another image of the same magazine. Copper Romance, a different month. Look at that. Copper Romance. The Black American is copper colored. So you might be asking, well, what happened to this magazine? Good question. He got rid of that motherfucker. What you think happened to it? They got rid of it. That magazine, the title alone, Copper Romance, that means you're copper colored. You see what I'm saying? That would have caused problems had somebody would have looked up the definition of American in the 1828 back then in the year 1953. Now, something else I'm going to show you. The company that makes crayons had a color. And now this crayon company has been around for a long time. Let me see if I can find out when this company started. In the 1800s, 1890s. Let me see when this company started. But anyway, it's been around a long time. In the late 1800s. The company changed names in the early 1900s, but again, it was all, it's the same company. Now, I'm going to show you this image real quick. But they had this crayon called Indian Red. Get it? See that? Indian Red. And they changed it to chestnut. That's the same color, right? It's brown. It's me and your complexion, but it's called Indian Red. See, that's a clue as to who you are. They had to get rid of that color. That's too much evidence. Now they'll tell you all kind of stories. Oh, they changed it because students was confused, thinking they was talking about Indians in India with the red dot. Those people, whatever the case, Indian brown. Those people were. I mean, anyway, that's an American company. Why would they be focused on Indians in India? Indian red. You feel what I'm saying? No, they was describing the true Indians here in America. All Aboriginal people are copper colored. They're all varying shades of brown. Worldwide, we're melanated. Simple, right? But I'm gonna read what the crayon color, a little bit of what went on, and they trying to explain why they did what they did. Now they ain't gonna come out straight and say, "Oh, we did it because we racist bastards." No, none of that. Here's what I'm reading. After sifting through more than 250 suggested names, Crayon has renamed its reddish-brown crayon to avoid misunderstandings over the color's origin. The color Indian Red, which Crayon said was based on the reddish-brown pigment commonly found near India, was dropped because teachers complained students thought it described the skin color of American Indians. You see this, people? They hide your information because this is your shit. This your country. This your land. On this continent, you are sovereign. You are sovereign. They do not want you to know that. And my channel is dedicated to telling you this because, again, we are building a army of knowledgeable, black, melanated people in America and around the world who understand who we are, so that we can destroy this evil system of racism, white supremacy. In order for you to be on this team, you have to know the lies that have been told to you. You have to understand we are in a system of racism, white supremacy. You have to know everything you have to know everything about the enemy that you possibly can. To 1, protect yourself. 2, to protect your family and your children. And 3, to help destroy it. I hope that makes sense to you. You're no good to me or nobody else until you understand this system of racism, white supremacy. Dr. Francis Cress Welson's video is in the description. Please watch it. Get familiar with it. Watch it with your children. That video is going to dissolve the cobwebs in your mind that has been placed on you by the system of racism, white supremacy through education, religion, and governmental lies. Very important. Very important. Okay? So this company changed the color of a crayon because they was hiding the truth, technically. That ain't what they're going to tell you, but that's what's really going on. And I'm going to read this little part here. It says, the new name will appear on 15 million crayons each year beginning in September. It is only the 3rd time in this country's 96-year history that a color has been changed. You see what I'm saying? Only 3 times has colors been changed in 96 years. That company at the time when this was published was 96 years old. So those people saw the Indians on this continent. That's why they named it Indian Red. The people who created this company wasn't in India. No, they was right here in America. In Pennsylvania, I want to say. No, Philadelphia. It's created in Philadelphia. You know what? I don't want to tell you something false. Let me just Google what year that company was created. Let's see, Google. What year was the Crayon company? Crayola Crayon. Anyway. Sorry about the pause. Okay, so that don't tell me. I do apologize about the pause. What year was the Crayon, the Crayon company created? That's what I wanted to put. I'm gonna be honest with you. I already know the answer, but because I googled it earlier and it's in the 1800s, and then they changed the company's name in 1903. Yeah, yeah. Okay, here it says crayons existed way before Crayola, but they were expensive and toxic. The E. Steger and Company created wax crayons aimed for kids, offering crayon colors up to 18 colors. They're one of the very first in the industry. Franklin Manufacturing Company is another company who produced the solid crayon, offering them as early as 1883 and were active until they closed down in 1927. See what I'm saying? So 1883. So when they got around to making those colors was based on what they saw here in America. Okay. And I was trying to see if it says where was the company started? You know, what state did they start in? Anyway, it's definitely an American company. Okay. But I don't say it on this one. I don't want to waste your time with that, but it's definitely an American company. So for us to believe that they was thinking about some Indians in India, you know, you really have to not allow them to mess with your intelligence that way. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it. You've got a magazine called Color Romance in 1953, taken off the market. A crayon called Indian Red, taken off the market. You know what I'm saying? All in attempts to keep you from knowing who you are, black man and woman. You are the Aboriginal American. You are the only owner. I mean, you are the only true American and the true owners of America. And again, the Americas is Canada, North America, South America, and the Caribbean islands. There is so much more you don't know. You come from an ancient race of people. Your people are the precursor. Your people are the ones who brought the pyramid building technology to the rest of the world. There's proof of that. And it's amazing. But anyway, I'm not going to get into this in this video. But there are pyramids in South America that are larger, older, and better built than any pyramid in Africa. But they don't talk about that. You understand what I'm saying? This is because your true identity is so powerful. They have to keep you in a brain fog. They have to lie to you constantly and subjugate you to all manner of hell in America, from police murders to poisoning our food governmentally. You know, we got chemicals in our food they don't even allow in European companies. That's on purpose, you know, from miseducating us and our children. It's so much you need to know about what's going on with you. And I want you to start with Dr. Francis Cress Welson's video that will be in the description, okay? On that note, I'm going to end this video, but I hope this video helps you to start to see that you have been lied to. You have been viciously lied to about your own identity. And I'm going to need you to do something about that, which is Get educated on who you are. On that note, I'm gonna say bye to you, and I'll see you on the next video. Leave a comment if you wish. If you feel like you've been lied to or starting to make sense to you, just simply put, "I believe I've been lied to" in the comments. If you have questions, put a question in the comment. I'll try to answer as many as I can. Okay. On that note, again, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and hit all. And I will talk to you on the next video. Peace out and be one. Black first.